Well, hello, my fabulous listener, whether you're watching on YouTube or you're listening on the podcast. I have a very special guest with me today. She is the creator of Salon Owners Networking Group, or S.O.N.G. She's based out of New England. Hello, Miss Kim Russell.
Hello, Krystine. Thank you for having me on. I'm really excited. This is my first big outing.
Oh, that makes me happy.
Yep.
That makes me so happy. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Yeah, I've been watching you and following you on Instagram throughout your whole journey, which we're going to talk about, of course.
Yep.
But how you feeling?
I feel great. I feel great. I'm not at the finish line yet, but I
Okay.
will be come September. I just had a treatment this morning,
Okay.
actually.
Okay.
So I have my energy until about 6 p.m. and then I'll be,
So catch everybody up on what's going on with you. If you're watching, you see her. If you're listening, we need the details.
yes. So I am currently in the tail end of treatment for breast cancer, which I was diagnosed a week before my birthday last year, September,
Mm.
and right into 6 rounds of chemotherapy, which was intense. Double mastectomy right after that with reconstruction and continuing on to preventative infusions, which is what I'm getting now, that you get that
Mm.
for a year. So I'll be done with that in September.
Oh, thank you, Lord, for that. What September what?
You know, I got it all confused. I thought I only had 3 left, but I have 5 left.
Okay,
So I
okay.
think it's
But
in and
I get
around Labor Day weekend, but it's gonna be close to my birthday again. So
when
it's a
is your
year,
birthday? When is your
September
birthday?
23rd.
Oh, I am September 20th.
Ah,
I
I'm
love
the
that.
first day of Libra through and through.
Okay. Okay. I'm Virgo. All right.
Yeah,
That's cool.
yeah, yeah. We can live with that, right?
Yeah, it's depending on the year too. And I'm like always, it always goes back and forth. So
Well, now I have to scroll a lot to get to my year. That's when you know you've gained some years when you have to keep scrolling.
so tell everybody now um about you. Like who are you? Who is Kim?
Ooh.
And and a little bit about song. Tell them everything about that.
Who am I? Well, it's interesting that you asked that question because I've been trying to figure that out since I closed my salon in December of 2021,
Mm.
which was open for 30 years. So I was 25 when I opened my salon.
Oh,
So I
wow.
didn't really haven't known anything but that.
Yeah.
But I'm so passionate about the beauty industry and salon owners. And so I'm kind of figuring out, along with breast
Okay.
cancer too, that throws everything into a big loop. So it's figuring it all over again, figuring out
Mm.
all over again. But um, I love salon owners. I love the passion behind the business owner.
Mm.
And I created S.O.N.G, Salon Owners Networking Group, in January of 2020. So it was right before the world shut down. And I was
Mm.
like, I always loved being around salon owners. I loved collaborating, talking to them, like sharing things that I've learned and learning things from them. I'm like, if I can't be the only person out there that needs that.
Yeah.
And so I started it. The world shut down. And it was great. It was great. I think there's 700 salon owners in the Facebook group. I did attempt a membership, but in my heart and heart, that wasn't where it was going anyways.
Mhm.
So now I'm trying to redefine that. And really the core to it is collaboration,
Yeah.
support, love, care, share, so
I love that COVID had such a huge impact. Like throughout the podcast, like the guests that we've had, podcast or COVID had such an impact.
mhm.
And so many of us, that's where we really were like developing in that little time still. And then now we're here and it's like, whew, okay, so let me tell you about myself.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure it out, but let me tell you.
Yeah, yeah. I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. And I think that's when I discovered you too. And I think shortly after that, we had our Instagram live or
Yeah.
something. Wow,
Yeah, I
that's so
don't remember
cool.
when that was, but it wasn't that long ago, maybe a
Yeah.
year and a half ago or something.
Yeah. It was like
Yeah,
like right in the middle, I think.
yeah,
That's so cool. I
yeah.
do. I get kind of jealous because I'm not in New England, right? And like I want you to be here in Florida.
Well, that was the plan, really, was to
Oh,
have events, based around salon owners getting together.
oh, okay.
That's really because I'm an in-person person.
Yes.
Much rather be with people in person. So, we had a few here, and that was kind of where it was going. And then I got diagnosed.
Mm,
So,
yeah, whatever.
yeah,
Redirection.
it's somebody saying pause,
Yep.
regroup.
Yep.
Yeah,
Totally. Okay. So you've been in the industry a hot minute. Okay.
40 years.
I love it. So what do you feel is the secret to success?
Open to change.
Hmm.
Open to change. That is kind of the sticky point with us old school salon owners, right? We kind of get in that mindset like, this is always how I've done it. This has worked, and I'm going to keep doing it. But they're frustrated because it's really not working. And you really have to be open to change. I mean, when I opened my salon, 1993,
Girl, go, go.
1993.
I'm here for you.
I mean, we barely had cordless phones, you know what I mean? We
Yeah.
didn't, we were running newspaper ads. I was licking envelopes and licking stamps. We didn't even have self-adhesive stamps.
Right.
And I was sending those welcome letters out and the advertising door to door, local businesses.
Mhm.
And it was hard. We didn't have email. We didn't have
Mhm.
online booking. We had nothing. We ran the 20% off ad that everybody did,
Yeah.
and somebody had to come in with the coupon, and we
Wow.
tucked it in our drawer with our paper book and our pencil and
Mm.
our invoice pad. And we had no way of tracking that stuff. And so
Yeah.
if you didn't change, I mean, think about it. I've, been in the business 40 years, um, salon owner for 30 years. If I didn't continuously change, and did I want to bring in online booking? Oh no, it was scary, but
Yeah.
I had my first software. It was probably 1998,
Wow.
if not the 2000s. I mean, I'd have to go back.
Yeah.
I don't really know, but it
Right.
was early on. It was Hair Max. It was as difficult as you can imagine and clunky. And
Yeah.
yeah,
I love that. Okay. So now what do you feel is is like the biggest flex as a servant leader? Because I know you had mentioned that, but your heart's not in it, don't do
yeah,
it. So what's
yeah.
the biggest flex with that?
Like, what do you mean? Give me an example.
Like what do you feel is like your biggest strength being like a servant leader with a servant's heart?
Oh, patience,
Oh, okay.
patience.
Yeah.
I probably have more patience than the average person. And it that probably stems from a lot of things, like,
Mhm.
my childhood and all of that, but it's really served me well. I'm a very patient person.
Mhm. So you talk a lot, at least I've seen it on some of the classes that you were giving, a lot about trauma.
Hmm.
Like from the bits and pieces that I have gathered, honey, you have been through some shit, girl. Like what?
Yeah.
So
Okay.
can you
That's going to be
just
my next workshop. How do you get through adversity when you just keep getting hit? You know what I mean? How
yeah,
do you stand back up again?
yeah. So go for it. Tell us, give us like the big ones.
Okay. So I'll give you the story. I'm going to
Okay.
switch the story down.
Okay.
So when I was one, I was abandoned in a car. I was in the foster care system for 4 years. I was adopted by my foster parents, who were also in their own traumas. We'll just say that.
Yeah.
Um, so it was challenging. I started doing drugs. I was 11 when I started doing drugs, alcohol.
Mm.
I'm writing a book. There's so much more of it in the book. That's was supposed to be out last November, but again, bump in the
Okay.
road.
Okay.
But for a reason,
Uh-huh.
there's a reason I needed to add some more to it.
Yeah.
Um, Hairdressing school at 15. I graduated when I was 17, almost 18. Let's see, what else happened in there? There's so much. Let's see, divorce, death.
Yeah.
I mean, there's, so many people have so much trauma. So I think what we don't realize, and which is something I didn't realize when I was younger, I started my therapy and working on myself when I was 29 years old.
Hmm.
I was in abusive relationship after abusive relationship, and I was trying to figure out how I could be better in the relationship. That's why I went to therapy, because I
Mm.
didn't think I was being a good girlfriend.
Oh.
It's really my worthiness, my insecurity, all of it was just it was an all-time high. So I did learn in therapy that, no, it wasn't me. I have my
Hmm.
stuff, but it wasn't
Hmm.
me. And let's see. So, gosh, now I just lost my train of thought.
Oh, sorry.
What was the question? Trauma.
Yeah, your
So I
trauma.
guess, yeah. So basically, what it boils down to for me as I got older and kept working on myself, I didn't realize the impact that my childhood trauma not only had on me, my
Mm.
relationships with friends, with family, but as a leader, I could not say no. I mean, when I first opened my salon, I think I was 25 years old in the thick of my trauma, still drinking like a crazy
Mm.
woman. Thankfully, I had stopped doing drugs at that point. But I just didn't realize the impact it had. And, boundaries were skewed and, how I reacted to things. And, it just spread out through my whole entire world.
Yeah. Yeah. And even when, we were talking about change, being open to change, even at that time, going to therapy, like, so faux pas, like you just, oh, you got things wrong with you, girl. And it's like, no. And then today, fast forward to today, it's like if you're not in therapy, like what's wrong with you? Why are
Right.
you not in therapy?
Right. Right. And I've learned so much because talk therapy really wasn't, it was great. I did, I went for 12 years, but it's not the best thing for somebody who has been through so much trauma. I remember just being in there and being like so tight. And so it was like reliving the pain over and over
Mm,
again. But now I'm smarter. Now I know it's important to regulate your nervous system and calm your body
right.
before you get into the storytelling. You can't
Oh,
really get into the storytelling until you've calmed yourself, and you
yeah.
don't know that your nervous system is in fight or flight because you're
Uh-huh.
like this and you
Yeah.
work 14 hours a day and you sleep 4 hours a night and you wear it like a badge of honor because that's what you're supposed to do because you're a business owner,
Right,
you're an
right,
entrepreneur, you work hard, that's what
right.
you do.
Oh, so talk about that. Talk about that. You have to regulate yourself before you get into the story. How do you do that? Especially if you don't know.
Yeah, breath work has been huge for
Okay.
me. Even meditation is very hard for somebody who has been traumatized, has had a lot of
Mm,
trauma because you can't, you have to, the breath work has been huge for me to be able
okay.
to calm myself.
Mm,
Meditation comes next. Well, or yoga,
mm-hmm.
or, just going for a walk, being in nature. All of those things are great ways to regulate yourself, but we have been taught, especially for my generation, is that you just keep on going.
Yeah.
You keep going, you keep working. And I was still doing a little bit of that. I was better, much better. But then my diagnosis made me really take a hard stop.
Hmm.
And I would not have gotten through this without breath work. There's no way in meditation. There's no way.
Oh, yeah. You would be stressed. You would have been stressed and you probably would have created more harm, because you're so freaked out.
Yeah, there's
Oh,
like a ton of fear wrapped around it, which it's interesting because when I was diagnosed and this all came up, it was the emotions that came up were so old. It was really like I was that 1 year old sitting in the back seat of that car all over again. Like
wow.
that's so I had to
Redo
calm.
everything.
Yeah, yeah. It's pretty amazing actually. But
Yeah.
the body is amazing, the brain is amazing. You
Mhm.
can, change your neural pathways. You can think different. There's so much science behind it. That's one thing I've attended the last couple of years is the Trauma Research Foundation conference.
Oh, how cool.
It's very cool. And it's when I tell you it's over my head because it's really how the brain works, the brain and the body. And it's fascinating. It's
That just shows,
fascinating.
it just shows. And like, and you go to that, and like last night I was watching Hitman on Netflix.
Hmm.
You got to watch it because this
Is
is
it
what we're
good?
talking about right now, okay?
Okay.
And it's all about the mind.
Hmm.
And we're talking about the body. Like you can, the movie was talking about, because it's based loosely on a true story. You can change your personality completely. Like,
Yes,
and they were talking about it, like you have to have your body believe that, and then it will be just a different version of you. So when we talk about coaching and therapy and living your best life and all those things, like that actually is a reality. Like you can do it. There's science,
can do it. Hmm.
like
The
what you're saying, to prove it.
Yes, yes. And when you have childhood trauma, especially depending on the age of when your trauma happened,
Uh-huh.
there's certain parts of the brain that really just don't work. So for me, like that, and I'm probably going to get it wrong, the amygdala,
Uh-huh.
which is the fight or flight part of the brain. If you look
Yeah.
at scans of the brain of somebody who's been traumatized at a very young age,
Mhm.
that part of the brain is lit up all the time. So it's all in a constant fight or flight. It's in
Okay.
survival mode. So that's, and the frontal lobe does not click in, which is all of your like executive functioning things. So there's a lot of people who have been out there who have been diagnosed with ADHD,
Mhm.
but it's really a product of their trauma.
Whoa.
So there's so much behind it. So you have to get those portions, those pieces of your brain to work and kind of flip that and not be in that fight or flight mode all the time, which is how you do that by calming yourself.
Right.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
really fascinating stuff.
Like
And
this
I'm
is,
a hairdresser
I know,
and
I
I'm trying to
know.
like soak it all in,
I
it's
know.
amazing.
I know. Like, and that's why I love having this podcast, because yeah, we're beauty and barber pros, but we are human beings with real problems. We're serving everybody all the time, that we forget that hey, I have traumas, I have problems, I have these things going on in my life that I have to tend to before I can help somebody else. So this is great. This is fantastic. All right. So here's the other thing. How do you, knowing everything that you know up until today, how do you nourish yourself?
For me, it's nature.
Okay.
I
Okay.
mean, nature is my jam. It's put me in the mountains, which has always been a conflict with the beauty industry for me my whole entire time. Because
Oh,
you can throw me in the dirt, throw me in the mud, crawl around in it. I don't, pair of jeans. It's like I love it. And
okay.
then there's the beauty industry. So I always felt like I had these two sides to me.
Oh, I
Catch me
can
in
see.
Maine, you'd never recognize me. And then
I
there's the
love it.
beauty industry.
Yes, I can agree with that. Our industry is very like city centered, like
Mhm.
high fashion, Paris, New York, London. No one's
Yeah.
getting dirty. That's not pretty.
No, and that's never been me, that scene. It's just
Right.
I love the industry, but I've never been bougie, you
Oh,
know?
well,
Yeah.
because you're
Funny.
real. You're real. I love it. So, okay. So now let's talk about some failures.
Ooh,
What have
how
been
much
your,
time do we have?
let's
Because
go. We
that
got
could
40
be a
minutes.
long time.
We got 40 minutes. Let's go.
Yeah.
So,
Like,
what do you feel is like your biggest failure? And what did you learn from it?
ooh, does it have to be professional or personal?
No,
Can
it
be
could
both.
be anything.
I would probably put my divorce in there as one of my biggest failures, but one of my biggest lessons.
Okay. I love it. Why?
And
What happened there?
even though things didn't work out with my ex-husband and I gained some incredible stepchildren, but yeah, no, he had this really easy ability to love and be open, which
Oh,
because of my trauma, I couldn't do that in a way that he could do that. So it really opened me up to a safety kind of way of love, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the failure in the marriage was more there. Again, there was so much trauma that happened and deaths that I don't know how anybody could have made it through what we went through anyways.
Do you feel like your do you feel like your trauma helped you be a business owner?
Yeah. Yes, because I was in that survival mode. So I was so overachiever. And I
Okay.
would, I'm going to throw in a little bit of one of my success that I absolutely loved about having a
Okay.
salon. And that was training beauty school students from vocational schools. 'Cause I'm very passionate about vocational schools. That's where I went. And I always wanted to give back. And at that time, 30 years ago, nobody was hiring anybody from school because they didn't want to pay them. You didn't do that. You gave
Mm,
commission, 1099s,
okay.
you did
Okay.
all that. That
Yeah,
was
yeah.
like, that was how it was.
Yeah.
And I loved that. I absolutely my favorite part of owning a business. I do think my trauma helped me with those hires. They were teenagers. A lot of them had their own stories. And I know we're talking about failures and I went right into this, but I don't even remember the question. What was
It
the
goes
question?
together. It goes together. These are pretty deep questions because I like to just get to the
No,
heart
I
of it.
love it. I
But
could talk like this all day.
no, like our biggest failure, right? You
Biggest
mentioned your
failure.
divorce, you what and that it was your biggest blessing too, and you learned from it. Um, but I love how
Biggest,
you were just saying that your trauma helped you with really those trouble kids from coming
Mhm.
out of school.
Yeah, it gave me an understanding and patience again.
Yeah.
But one of my biggest failings in business was my lack of communication too, because I
Mm,
just confrontation, my fear of rejection and abandonment, which lived in me my whole entire life. When people left, I mean, that
mm,
was devastating to me. I took it so personal,
mhm.
which it's not.
Right.
But, it's such a different world now and I love it. But it was my own stuff. It was
Yeah.
my own stuff.
But this is so good, and I'm so happy that you're talking about it because salon, spa owners, barbershop owners, like we need to know that who we are influences how we show up.
Yeah.
Like you just said, you would have people, if they left, you took it so personal.
So
You weren't
personal.
trying to, it's just how you were wired,
Yeah, I
you
was
know?
abandoned, just like
Right.
that one-year-old in the car, like that anytime that happened that's why I stayed in abusive relationships way longer than I should have, because I couldn't leave. I couldn't fire people because I never wanted them to feel abandoned, so I kept people way longer than I should have too in relationships, that worked for me, and
Yeah.
it was all tied together, and I think, now that I'm older and have done the work, and that's what I really wanna open other leaders, salon leaders, even stylists to
Mhm.
how what's impacting them behind the chair and
Yeah.
as leaders.
Yeah.
How do you regulate yourself before a meeting and then regulate yourself after a meeting so that you're not bringing your stuff in, you're not it's challenging.
And then we're trained to like leave your junk at your front doorstep of your house. Don't
Mhm.
even bring it in the car with you. Don't leave it at home because we're here to create. And
Yeah.
it's hard to do that when you are always thinking, oh my goodness, they're gonna leave me. I'm gonna be abandoned again, trauma, all this stuff.
Yeah, and I think honesty, like even if, you have your stuff, you're trying to sort it out, you're recognizing it. It's like just pure honesty with your team goes
Mhm.
a long way.
Yes, I can attest to that for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So what with this? What is the biggest insult that you've gotten that you're so proud of today?
Oh, you won't make it.
Ooh.
You'll never be successful. I heard that from everybody when I was 15 years old. Even now, when you tell people you're a hairdresser, you get that little like, oh, that's cute kind
Mm,
of thing. But
mhm,
I had my guidance counselor. So I was switching from a conventional high school. So a background story, when I was in foster care and was first adopted, we lived in the projects, in inner city projects. Like it was a tough neighborhood. And then we had the opportunity, we had an aunt that owned a house in a very affluent town right next door. So we moved into an apartment there, but we were the same people. And I went to that school, but I knew I wanted to leave and go be a hairdresser. I was 12 years old. I knew I wanted to be a hairdresser. And side note, my I found out later in life that my biological mother went to hairdressing school. She didn't finish, but she went to hairdressing school. And you hear those stories a lot.
I love
Yeah.
that. I was gonna ask you about her, but oh my goodness. Okay, we'll circle back.
Oh,
Okay.
that's in the book. Whoo, that's in the book.
Okay, okay, we get
That's
the
a long
book.
story. That's
We'll
such a
get
long.
the book. We will get the book.
I'm
It's
working on it. It's getting there. It's
okay. All
getting
right.
there slowly but surely. So we moved to this town that, and I sat with the guidance counselor in the ninth grade. And back then, you could not go to a vocational school until the 10th grade, and you couldn't go into hairdressing school until the 11th grade because they did not feel that you were responsible enough or old enough, mature enough to make a lifelong career decision.
Okay.
So ninth grade, I sat with my guidance counselor and I said, "Oh, I'm, very excited. I'm going to go to the vocational school. I'm going to be a hairdresser." And he goes, "Oh, no, 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 you're not. No, you're not. You're going to stay right here and you're going to take secretarial and accounting courses." Um, no, I don't think so.
No.
And again, I was very excited. I was like, "No, I'm going to go to the Vogue and I'm going to be a hairdresser." And he said, "No, I'm bringing your parents in and we're going to have a conversation with them."
What?
Thankfully, I had very blue collar parents. And they said, "Hey, as long as she has a trade, like we don't have to worry about her, she's good." So, I mean, this one guy could have
What
changed
was
my whole
what
direction.
yeah, but like what was his deal? What was his problem? Why did he want you to like do that?
It wasn't good enough. You weren't going to be successful. Everybody told me I was never going to make enough money. And that was one of the reasons why I modeled my salon the way that I did. It was very unheard of. I had a retirement fund for them shortly after I opened, a matching one. They had paid vacations. I paid for all of their education. They all got, an hourly wage, which again was not,
Mm,
you didn't do that back then.
right.
So I wanted to create a different environment. I wanted to create an environment that they could be proud of and go in and say, "Yes, I not only am I this, but I'm making this much money and I'm doing great." Granted, it took everybody a while to get the prices caught up and stuff like that. But yeah, so you can't. I've heard my whole life, you can't, you can't, you can't. And I'm like, "Yes, I can. Watch
Yes, I
me, watch
can.
me,
Yeah.
watch me, watch me, watch me."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, all right. So who were the three people that really encouraged you, influenced you while everybody's like tearing you down?
The very first woman that I worked for in a salon at 15
Oh.
years old, I get goosebumps even talking about her, and she's a big part of my book. She is the reason why my salon was the way it was.
Mm.
I got paid, this is hysterical, $1.75 an hour. After I graduated, I got $2.25.
Oh.
But nobody knew the laws back then. That was not minimum wage. Nobody,
No.
no, yeah, nobody knew the laws, but the minimum wage was only like $6 or $7. It wasn't much.
Right, right.
But she taught me everything. I mean, I did everything for her except cut her client's hair. Like back in the day, I rolled her perms, I pulled her hair through the caps, I applied her colors, I blew dried her. I did everything for her. But she taught me so much. And when we would mix colors in the back, she would have me come with her and she'd say, "What would you do?" And I'd say, "Well, this." And she'd say, "Why would you do that?" And
Mhm.
I'd say, "Well, this." And she said, "Well," and she would keep digging. And that's exactly how I am now. Like, why? Why would you do that? Why? Why?
Mhm.
And so she really just taught me so much. And I'm so grateful for the education I had was just priceless,
Yeah.
priceless.
Okay. So that was the one. Two more people that were influential for you.
My grandmother,
Mm,
she's,
mm-hmm.
she's in the book too. She was the only person that had the capability to love me unconditional. Everybody else had it. When you're adopted, there's always that adopted person. I've heard about, they're not my real cousin. They're not my real niece. They're not my real whatever. So yeah, so but she was not. I was the apple of her eye, and she loved me, even though it was very hard to love me.
Mm, okay. Okay. And who was the
Yeah.
third?
The third is my dear friend, Daniel Mason Jones.
Aw, I love that.
Yes. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be sitting here sharing my story or writing my book.
Oh, he's one of those.
Yeah.
He's
He
one of
said,
those guys.
I had
Okay.
a life altering class with him, and I'm not called the ultimate shift. I'm not even sure he does it anymore, but he just said to me, it's time to tell your story. You need to tell your story.
Oh,
I was like, what story? I have a story. Yeah.
like what story? And like you just have like this whole podcast episode about your story.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack. I mean, there's so many more people, and that's one thing I believe, like to my heart and hearts, is that people show up when you need them the most.
Yeah.
And they continuously showed up in my life all the time. So
Hmm.
I'm so grateful for all of them. They keep showing up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Are, as now, this is a professional question. Okay.
Okay, keep it
So
keep it professional.
let's bring it back,
Reel it in.
baby. Okay. So working behind the chair all these years, right?
Mhm.
Selling your salon, going into a different aspect now of the industry. What is one lesson that you have learned in this industry that you feel everyone who is not in this industry needs to know and they need to learn it? What is that lesson?
Oh my goodness. I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is that we literally have a PhD in the business of hair. And I think the misconception is because we don't have something that's hanging on the wall that said, college graduate of.
Mhm. I love that.
I have probably spent maybe at least $200,000 in my education
Thank
in
you.
business and creativity and all of
Hmm.
it. So trying to get that out, the trades are a very worthy career.
Yeah. I was talking to somebody and I was like, you know, I'm all about the trades. I'm all about the vocational schools because you can make money and you can make it fast if you're
Mhm.
good and dedicated. So I am all about the vocational schools. All right. And I was talking to somebody and I was like, what the heck, man? Who said that you need to go to college? Go to vocational school.
Mhm.
What's happening? Why is everybody so hoity-toity about this?
I know. Imagine
Oh,
if I took secretarial and accounting
oh
courses.
my God. Oh my God. How miserable.
You couldn't keep me in the seat anyways, as it was, in a classroom. You're gonna
Right.
make me do that? Forget it.
Right. No, I love, okay. No, this is great. This is great. Okay. So then, I lost my thought. But anyway, whatever. What's an area that of life that just nobody agrees with you about?
Other than my career.
It could be your career too, whatever. Just nobody
I mean,
agrees with you.
it's so much better now. Oh gosh, I don't know. I'd have to sit on that one. There's not too many people I riff with,
Okay,
because
let's
it's
hear.
the Libra in me. I always see both sides of every story. I want to understand where other people are coming from if they have a different opinion.
Yeah.
You know, that's just who I am. You're
Okay.
never going to see me get into an argument over politics or over anything. So I am going to listen to your side and just hear what
That
you have to
must
say. Yeah, it's not
that
going to
that
happen
that must drive people crazy.
a little bit, but
You
you
know,
know,
because like they're like so what is it? Like hardcore on their whatever it is. And then you're just like, "Oh yeah, tell me more." And then
yeah, I don't engage or, yeah, I just don't engage. It's for me, keeping my stress level and being calm and, just enjoying life is so much more important than getting into a head to head with somebody over an opinion.
mm,
I mean,
mhm.
I don't do mean. Like that's
No,
like
don't
I
be
can't do
mean.
mean. So if somebody's mean to somebody else, I'm always for the underdog. I'll absolutely come in and
Okay.
say something. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
in a very
So,
kind way, but I'll get my point across.
well, yeah, we got to be kind and loving,
Yeah,
you
everything's done
know.
with love. Everything I do is
Yeah.
done with love. Love on the heart.
Okay, so you have you're working on the book.
It's so close to being done. If I could just
So
stop
exciting.
writing, it would,
Oh, you're
yeah,
just
it's this diagnosis has brought a whole nother level of awareness that it just felt like I just needed to get in the book. It's not necessarily anything about the cancer in the book. There might end up with something in there, but it's really everything that's already in there is just one level deeper now.
mm.
There's no holding back. Once you get this kind of diagnosis, it's kind of everything gets thrown, tossed to the wind. You don't care about anything anymore.
Well,
Like
rightly so.
you don't worry about anything anymore. The things that you were worried about, I read some parts of the book, I was reading it, and I'm like, this needs more feeling behind it. Like, there's not enough feeling behind it. But
Mm.
clearly, I was holding that back for whatever reason. Now, there's a lot.
Ah. Oh, I
Yeah.
love it. So, okay, no pressure, but when
By the
by the
fall
fall.
is my plan,
Okay. Okay.
which was
Okay.
last year by the fall. So,
All right. So we're just same plan, just a
yeah,
little later. Okay, that's
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
All right. So what do you have going on right now as far as song goes or as a salon or anything? What do you have that people can get involved with?
Song is there. We have a Facebook
Okay.
group
Good.
still. I just posted for the first time because I had to take a step back from everything
Mhm.
because I needed to make sure I was taking care of myself. And if anybody's had chemo, you don't actually, you can't function. So
Mhm.
I'm just trying to sort out where that is going. I would love to have some events, in-person events. I mean, what you're doing as far as business, if I would say that's the one thing that's lacking in the trade schools and all of the trades is the business education that goes with the trades.
Mhm.
So, um, I love what you're doing. We need more of that. And, you know, there's so much I want to do. It's so hard. I'm so passionate about the foster care system. I
Oh,
would somehow like to meld that together, the beauty industry and foster care system. There's a lot of kids that end up in the beauty industry. So to connect with
wow.
them would be amazing.
Ooh, I could see you doing that.
Yeah, there's
Oh,
so much I don't know where to start. I've been down for, the past 8 or 9 months and everybody's like, slow down.
you're like, but I can't.
You need to do this, and this. So Song has Instagram, Song has Facebook, Song has a Facebook group. You can join it. And I like to tell everybody we're not there to sell in there. It's just
Mhm.
to collaborate, support. If there's somebody you love that you want to share, absolutely share it so everybody knows and can contact them. But um, and then my personal page, I'm always talking about trauma and different
You
things.
do you feel like a lot of people resonate? Like
Yes.
because you talked about it, they're like, "Oh, let me just tell you about my traumas."
Yes, and I was
Yeah.
surprised. Last year was the first time I did workshops at the Pennsylvania Beauty Pro Expo
Uh-huh.
on trauma, and I was scared to put the word trauma in the title of the workshop.
Yeah.
When I tell you I had such an amazing response, I mean, tears, hugs, thank you so much. I had no idea this was impacting XYZ. People came up to me afterwards, the messages I got. So I want to continue doing that too. I would have been there this year, but again, just a bump.
Hey,
Just a
just a
pause.
bump. Just a
Yeah.
bump.
Yeah.
What do you want to be remembered for?
Being kind.
Mm. Oh,
Yeah, being kind. It's kind of everybody, everybody deserves a second chance, no matter who you are. So I always have that no matter what you've gone through, what you've done, there's always kind of a way out.
yeah.
So we need to sometimes we judge and look too harshly at people who have had a hard time. And I think that we need to give people a second chance.
Do you feel
Understand.
like do you feel like we should give second chances because we have a lot of abusive relationships in our industry? Do you think we should give second chances to those boyfriends or girlfriends that are just no bueno?
No, I think you should take care of yourself, and that's gonna give you the direction that you need to go in. If you're not safe,
Mhm.
no, absolutely not. You don't feel safe? Absolutely not. Even if you think that it can work, maybe separate,
Yeah.
become an individual, work on yourself, and then go, then see what happens.
Yeah.
But safety first,
Yeah,
absolutely.
please, always. Because if you're codependent like me and you're working on it and you're in these relationships that are no good, you're like, oh, well, everybody deserves a second chance.
Well, I think the
Oh,
problem with people people like
well,
us in abusive relationships, they get second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth,
right.
seventh, eight chances.
Right.
Yeah. So that was the first self-help book I read back in 1998. I think I'm just doing a post about it this morning. My favorite
Oh,
list, healing books, and Codependent No More by Melanie Beattie was my first self-help book.
oh, that is so funny. What, you mentioned you went to therapy because you wanted to be a better girlfriend,
Mhm.
which is like a huge indication that you were the best girlfriend. And
Uh,
it's like we all have that thing. What were my first self-help book? Yeah, I think it was along those lines. Like, how you have all those dating books and you're gonna be
yeah.
like, I'm gonna get all the men, right? That's
Oh, no,
that's
so we
how
didn't even
it's
have those back then. We had what was that one book we had was Man and Women, Venus and Mars or
oh
whatever.
yeah.
That's all we had. That's it.
Yeah. So I love it. I have like the whole shelf. Like everything they sell, I have it. I have it. I
On
have
dating or self-help books?
all of them. I have
Yeah,
all of them. Dating, self-help,
that's so funny.
therapy, coaching. I have them all. They're all it's all the same.
Yeah, I mean, those are
It's all the
some of
same.
my favorites back there. So those,
Yeah, I've been looking at those.
yeah.
Anyway, okay, so what is we're time is flying. What is a question that you wished I would have asked, and how would you have answered?
Ooh. Um, I guess how can we help more people?
Oh, okay.
And I would have said, how can I think about this constantly, like how can I help more people? And I think by sharing our stories and asking the question was great about failures because we don't focus enough on the failures. And people see social media as it's so smoke and mirrors, even my cancer, people see like you're doing great. And I'm like, oh no, those are like highlights. You didn't see the real stuff, you know. So yeah, I think just being more real and more authentic with how hard it really is, especially as a salon owner and a
Yeah.
stylist. You
Yeah.
know, and I'm gonna say something might be a little controversial right now,
I'm
which
so
some people
excited.
might yeah, people might take me out for this. Um, being in a suite as a suite owner compared to a salon owner that is managing multiple people is way more complicated.
Oh.
A solo person, like taking care of yourself, it's more than you've ever done because you say you worked under somebody and it's more that you're ever done. And I can appreciate that and I understand that. But when you truly have 13, 15, 50 people that you are responsible for, and you're managing your day to day, your emotions, along with all the stuff that goes on in the back. I mean, if you're a new suite owner, now you understand taxes a little bit better. You know, there's more to it than, just getting a client in your chair. But when you like you sit in your salon and you have 5 people that come to you at a certain point in the day and all in tears, all because they're having personal stuff going on, have to take time off, have to, it's a lot. So it's much more complicated when you have a staffed salon.
I am so happy that you shared that because it is controversial
Yes.
because the suite owners, they're like, well, I'm a business owner. Yes, honey baby, you totally are.
Mhm, absolutely.
However, it's not the same level when you have a full staff and you still got to pay the rent so that that full staff can come to work and do what they do and you can afford your Starbucks coffee in the morning. Like We
It's
don't, as salon owners, we don't walk around go splurging. Okay. Our splurge is a fabulous cup of coffee so that you can, you know what I mean?
I do. I mean, my splurge was taking my team to a big hair show every year.
Right. That
You know,
exactly.
that was,
Exactly.
and sometimes as a salon owner, you feel like you can never give enough because it's just never enough.
Right.
It can be exhausting, and it doesn't discredit anybody out there,
Right.
working hard and doing their thing. It's just that it is easier. I went from managing a full salon to not, I do it myself. I'm like, kidding? This is like, whoo, this is a piece of cake.
Yeah. I think it's good though for like for those stylists who want to eventually do that with multiple people. Yeah, go to the suite because you do learn
Yeah,
about the numbers and you're like,
yeah,
oh,
absolutely. Yeah.
you know,
They learn about the backside that they have no idea about.
right,
There's just so much more to it.
right. Oh,
So much more than
oh,
hair.
it's so much more than hair. That was the whole theme of today. I feel like it's so
Yeah.
much more than hair, than business ownership. It's about real life.
Hmm.
This is real life. It affects us,
Yeah.
you
We're
know?
human,
Yeah.
just like everybody else. We have our feelings hurt. We have bad days.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Mm-hmm.
human. We make mistakes.
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you, Kim, for coming
Thank
on the Beauty
you.
Pro podcast. I am so excited for the book. I'm so excited for your comeback, dare I say it.
Yeah,
And yeah, keep me posted about that book.
I will.
Okay, good.
I absolutely will. Thank you so much. This has been so fun.
I'm so excited. So, listener, if you are listening or watching the YouTube replay, connect with Kim. If you resonated with her story, connect with her. Breast cancer survivor, trauma survivor, adoption, all of that. It influences us. So, I look forward to speaking with you next time. I will talk to you soon and have a wonderful day, you guys.